Human Resource, Section B, 2016. The concept of occupational health and safety consists of elements of occupational medicine and hygiene. Critically analyze the top 4 reasons why organizations manage stress effectively to reduce the negative impact on workforce. Then illustrate using at least 4 myths about how burnouts occur to employees. At C, analyze 3 fundamental causes of workplace accidents and demonstrate how to prevent accidents in workplaces. So let's look at the 4 steps why organizations manage stress effectively to avoid the negative impact of. So what are the 4 reasons why um, organizations want to manage stress effectively? There could be many. What are the any 4 reasons?
Maybe one of them is to have a productive workforce.
Exactly, to increase productivity and enhancement. Why else would a firm want to manage? Okay, there are many reasons. To enhance productivity, number 1, to reduce absenteeism and turnover, to improve employee morale, and to prevent burnout and mental health issues. This week, I was really stressed. Okay, so by increasing productivity, employees who manage stress well will tend to be focused, they'll be motivated, and they'll be efficient. So this will lead to higher output and better work quality. It reduces what? And absenteeism. So effective stress management at the workplace is very important for both the organization and also the employees' well-being. So when there are high stress levels, it will lead to frequent sick-offs. Okay, it will lead to resignations. It will lead to people lying that they are sick when they are not. So when you manage stress levels, it will actually reduce what such occurrences. It also improve employee morale. So when you have a supportive work environment, it will address issues of stress and it will lead to higher job satisfaction and stronger teamwork. It also prevents burnout and what mental health issues. So chronic stress can lead to burnout, depression, and anxiety. So when you prevent such, it will sustain the long-term health. Then what are some of the myths that we have on burnouts? Question part number 2. Illustrate at least 4 myths about burnouts. What myths do we know about burnout? Number 1 is a myth.
Someone is just pretending.
Yes. So there are a lot of misconceptions about burnouts that can hinder effective intervention. So only weak employees can get burnout. So they assume that burnouts can affect what? The truth is that burnouts can affect everyone, including even the high performers. So it is not a sign of weakness, but it's a result of some sustained pressure. Okay, I was shocked myself yesterday to say I don't usually tire, but for the first time I could not function. So burnouts, the other statement that burnout is just stress is not true. So of course it's related, but burnout is more than uh, severe, is more severe than ordinary stress because it involves emotional exhaustion, it involves reduced performance. Okay. The other myth is that time off cures burnout. Yes, rest improves, but burnout often requires deeper changes like workload adjustments, support systems, organizational shifts. The other myth is that passion prevents burnout. Yes, being passionate will reduce. Being passionate is about work doesn't make one person immune. You can love your work, but the fact is that highly passionate individuals are the ones that are actually who overwork themselves. I usually tell my wife to them not be too dependable. All right. Is that clear on the myths? Then let's go to question number part C. Analyze 3 fundamental causes of workplace accidents. What are some of the causes of accidents at the workplace? Unsafe work conditions, human error, poor supervision. Okay, so these are some of the sources of accidents. So workplace accidents can arise in any combination. There are many environmental and human factors. So unsafe conditions, for instance, poor lighting, slippery floors, exposing to wiring, faulty equipment, all these contribute to physical hazards. Human error, sometimes carelessness or fatigue or distraction or lack of concentration can result in a mistake that can lead to an accident. Sometimes poor supervision and timing. So if you have inadequate guidance to, or there's lack of proper training, safety procedures, they can pose a risk which may result in an accident. Okay. Then question number part D, how can we prevent accidents in the workplace? In many ways, through regular training, clear safety protocols, protective equipment, reporting and addressing hazards. So these are ways in which you can avoid. So by regular training, you can have ongoing education on safety procedures that require employees to remain aware of the risks. Also, we have documented and enforced rules on safe behavior that will guide employees on how to conduct and make decisions. Protective equipment, you can provide and mandate the use of helmets, for instance, in the factory, gloves to minimize injury. And also you report and address hazards. So you encourage employees to report any unsafe conditions that may act as a hazard so that you prevent accidents. Is that clear? So this was a lot of general thinking. Okay. Question 3. Organizations are required to carry out job analysis periodically. Compare and contrast the use of job specifications with job descriptions. Analyze 4 core methods of collecting data for job analysis. Apply 6 steps of job analysis exercise in an organization and discuss the universal standard of job description. Okay. So part A. What's the difference between job description and job specification? Are there any differences? Yes. The difference between job description and job specification. So job description is more about just what? Giving the duties, responsibilities, the scope of a particular position. It looks at what the employee is expected to do, who they report to, the conditions under which the job should be carried out. In short, job description focuses on what the job entitles an individual to do. What is the description of a procurement officer? Mainly about inventory and buying. Okay, so you cannot put a job description for a procurement officer and you put that over as an accountant. They are different. Then we go to job specification. Here we are looking at what kind of a person is best suited for the role. It looks at the qualifications, the experience, the skills, the personal attributes that are required to perform a particular job. So it focuses on the kind of person who's best suitable for the job. So for instance, a diploma, procurement, 3 years experience, okay? Those are job what? Specifications. Are we together? specs of the job. All right. Then let's look at the core methods of collecting data for job analysis. What are the methods of collecting data for job analysis? Okay. We have what? Observations, interviews, questionnaires, and work diaries. So what is involved in observations? So of the methods in job analysis, where data can be collected for various reasons to give insight in the roles and responsibility. So observation is one of them, which involves you directly watching the employees as they perform their work. It's very useful for manual and repetitive or observable jobs. Here, the observers can record the work patterns, what equipment has been used, the workflow process, but it may not capture the mental and decision-making aspect. Interviews are another way of collecting what? Job analysis data, because you can conduct a semi-structured or a structured interview with employees and supervisors to provide in-depth information on the job duties, the requirements of the skills, the challenges, and it allows to clarify for discussion. It makes it suitable for both simple and complex roles. Questionnaires, these are structured what? Questionnaires or interviews that can be distributed to gather information, detailed information about the task and responsibility, the frequency or specific duties. So this method is very efficient for data collection from large groups. It allows for quantitative analysis. All right. Then we also have work diaries or work logs. Here, employees are asked to maintain a log of their daily activities over a period of time. So this method will provide what? A time-bound record of tasks. It will review the true scope of the job. It includes the infrequent but important tasks. So I've used this one. I use it a lot. All right. So let's go to the 6 steps in job. What are some of the 6 steps when conducting job analysis exercise in an organization? So we have we determine the purpose, identify the jobs, review the background, choose the methods, collect and document the data and develop the description. So this is what is involved in job analysis. So what is involved in determining the purpose? So that's the first step that is involved in job analysis. Okay, we determine the purpose. So you need to define the goal of job analysis, like is this for recruitment or for training purposes or evaluation? So it guides the entire process. Step 2 is identify jobs to be analyzed. Can you explain this point, Annie? What is involved there?
Sorry, and which one? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you explain on the second? Identify the jobs to be analyzed.
Okay, not all jobs can be analyzed, or you need to be specific on which jobs you want analyzed in an organization. Could be maybe you want to um what's the best word? Redesign your job descriptions by maybe adding other tasks or assignments to the role. So you identify the jobs that you want to work on.
Okay, that's true. So you need to identify the jobs to be analyzed. So you need to select which positions will need analysis. Not all jobs need analysis. So you prioritize those ones that are new, those ones that have changed, or those ones that are critical to the organization. Then step three, you need to review the background information. So you need to examine the existing job descriptions, okay? The organizational charts, the training manuals, you need to review them, and the performance evaluations to understand the current state of the job. Step three, you need to choose the methods of data collection. So you need to select an appropriate technique like interviews, observation, or questionnaires or work diaries based on the nature of the job. Then step five, you need to collect and document the data. You need to gather accurate information about the job duties, responsibilities that are required, the working conditions. Okay, you need to document all these, make them clear and objective. Number six, you need to develop what job descriptions and specifications. So you need to use the collected data to create formal job descriptions. Okay, what the jobs entails, the job specifications, the qualifications that are required. Right. So question part um, six.
Sorry, Mr. Collins, just to take you back a bit on the you said review of background information. Basically, we just look at the old job or the current job that we are trying to analyze. We get all the information about it.
Yes. So yes. You need to, by reviewing background information, you need to examine the existing job descriptions. Okay. Um, you need to also examine the organization charts. How are they? Okay. The training manuals, the performance evaluations, so that you understand the current state of the job. So you need to do that.
And if I am right, that means for from a job analysis, there are only two outcomes which we get. That's a job description or job specification.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the latter part, you're being asked now to understand or discuss the general universal standard of a job description. What is the universal standard of job description? So,
It contains the title, the
mhm,
position title, the
mhm.
salary scale of that position and the level, then the name of the occupant and the department or section and the organization name. Then it also looks at the summary of the job or the job purpose. And it also looks at the key result areas and the principal accountabilities. Then it also looks at the duties, the reporting structure, as well as conditions and external and internal contacts.
Okay, well explained. So the duties, you will need to icon the key tasks that the employee will do, what they expected to perform. The reporting relationship, so who they report to, whether they supervise any people, the conditions, whether the environment hours are so much and so much, whether there are any travel what requirements or any specific demands of the job or hazards that they should expect. Okay, so that is on that part. Okay, so let's go to next question. Question number 4. Labor relations and collective bargaining are a global practice. Part A, evaluate the requirements of collective bargaining regarding the Industrial Act and discuss 4 main types of strikes and deduce 10 sources of grievances in an industry. So part A, the requirement of collective bargaining according to the Industrial Act. What are the requirements? So here are the requirements. Number one, we're talking about requirements on for effective collective bargaining. It rests on these fundamental requirements of fairness and equity and ongoing dialogue. So you need to recognize the unions. That's a first requirement. Okay, you need to recognize what the union. So employers must formally acknowledge that the union is legitimate and representative. So without recognition, the union has no standing. Secondly, you need to have good faith in negotiations. So both parties are obliged or obligated to meet, confer, negotiate with honest intention. So this means that sharing relevant information, attending meetings punctually, and genuinely considering proposals rather than going through motions. It should be uh, then legal compliance. So all activities and arrangements must adhere to the applicable labor laws of the land and regulations. So this includes respecting statutory rights to organize, to bargain, and also to engage or refrain strike activities. So number four, there should be written agreement. So once the terms are agreed upon, these must be documented in a collective agreement that clearly outlines the wages, the hours, the benefits, the grievance procedures. Then there should be periodic reviews. So collective agreements should include provisions for regular negotiations, fixed intervals. And number six, scope and composition of bargaining units. So before negotiations begin, so both sides must agree on which employees are included in the bargaining unit. So they must clarify on the eligibility, and this must prevent what? Judicial disputes. So what are the four main types of strikes that we must know? They are what we call economic strikes. They are what kite strikes. They are sympathetic strikes. They are sit-down strikes. Okay. So what is an economic strike? It is one that is initiated to secure better wages and benefits or work conditions. So here employers may hire temporarily and make replacement in a jurisdiction where it's lawful. A wildcat strike is conducted without the authorization of the union. It's outside the terms of the existing collective bargaining agreement. So these are typically illegal, but they can lead to disciplinary action. We also have a sympathetic strike, which is also called a solidarity strike. This one occurs when what? Workers strike in support of another group of employees on different bargaining units. So you're striking just to amplify the pressure. You're like um, forming an alliance. Okay. What is a sit-down strike? What is a sit-down strike? So sit-down strike is a strike where workers physically remain at their workplaces or employers' premises, refusing to work or leave, but they're occupying the workspace to prevent other employers from being their replacement. Okay, that is a sit-down strike. Interesting.
Please just go over the wildcat.
The wildcat strike. So I said a wildcat strike is an illegal strike in short, where you protest without the authorization of the union. It may have disciplinary action against some selected participants. Okay. Then we go to question number. It's used 10 sources of grievances in industries. What are some of the 10 sources of grievances?
Pay disputes, bad working conditions. There's also issues to do with discrimination.
We've been asked to identify 10 sources of disputes. So they come from place where people feel underpaid, working conditions where people feel it's unsafe, discrimination where they're treated because of race, gender, um, lack of recognition where efforts go unnoticed, where there's too much workload. Okay, this of the 10. Also, poor communication can result into strikes as well as policy inconsistencies where rules are not what fairly administered. Job insecurity where there are rumors of layoffs, where there's unfair discipline where disciplinary actions appear to be biased, and also harassment which comes from bullying, verbal, and also sexual harassment. So these are the various sources of what um, of industrial grievances. Okay, then this paper still going on. Question number 5. Job evaluation is of an organization may either be carried out by an external consultant or internal analyst. So dynamically presented 5 methods used in job evaluation and clarify the objectives that are key to the A plan method and illustrate advantages and disadvantages of the point evaluation method. So we had looked at this in the other paper. Maybe quickly, what are the 5 methods of job evaluation?
We have a ranking method,
Huh?
a point method, point factor method.
Yes.
There's a hay plan, there's a market and job.
Exactly. So these are the types. I don't know that I need to explain them. We already did them. So only remaining, I need to start another class. So quickly, these are the pointing methods. These are the methods that we have. All right. So they're actually 8. So you only have to identify these 4. Then the next question.
Could you maybe just talk about the hay method, hay plan method, just how it's done briefly?
Okay. So for the other ones, you're familiar with them.
I don't know about the others. I'm okay.
Okay, so ranking, here jobs are ordered from the highest to lowest based on their what? Overall value. Okay, so the others are too quiet. Can you hear? So there are the 5 methods. So there's what is called job ranking. So the jobs are compared as a whole. They are ranked from the highest to the lowest in terms of value and importance. There's also the classification method where jobs are grouped in predetermined classes or grades, which are based on familiarities, okay, to duties. So these ones are classified in predetermined classes. So we also have just share the notes that we move quickly. The point factor method, where jobs are broken down into compensable factors like skills, responsibilities, working conditions, and the points are assigned to each factor. So the total points determine the value of the job. We have the factor comparison. This one involves you ranking the jobs based on the key factors. Then you assign monetary values to each. It's more quantitative than ranking, but more complex. Then we have the Hay guide. It's also called the Hay method. It's used to evaluate a job based on 3 core factors. Okay, the know-how, the problem solving, and accountability. For this one, it's a guide chart that has a scoring system, which helps to be consistent and equitable in evaluations. So typically it's used for managerial and professional roles. So that is a guide method. Has a certain niche of classes that we are looking at. So it's mostly used when we are dealing with technical jobs. It uses a systematic or analytical or quantitative method. So it looks at the know-how, what total knowledge does somebody have, problem solving, measures the complexity of thinking,